Hi, thanks for being there. I'm happy to take the floor and present a bit on the finance section of Horizon 2020, which is grouped at the end of the energy efficiency call under topics EE 19, 20, and 21. To briefly introduce what we are trying to do in the sector on finance, this diagram, basically the discrepancy that we have between the financial sector and the project side, where what by a project is not the same for the financial sector, which much more is a black box technically, but with a secured stream of revenue and a level of safety and a certain number of financial characteristics, whereas on the project developer side we have more of a technical approach. And what we're trying to do for years now is trying to put squares into triangles, and it doesn't completely work. And in all, we're trying to these cultural differences through mechanisms which we call innovative financing and ESCOs, but what to do now is to go a bit further than that and develop more concrete projects. So I think we can, on the finance sector side, there are ways to address that and that use a lot of capital, which can be brought by national funding and increasingly by the EU structural funds through schemes such as guarantee funds, soft loans, or investment funds. But that's not what we're planning to do with Horizon 2020. With the Horizon 2020 and what we've been doing with Intelligent Energy Europe until now, we've been doing several things. We've been focusing on the project development side with the project development assistance facilities. So that means the ELENA facility, which is continued under Horizon 2020, and the MELI facility, which will be continued also under EE20, which I will describe a bit later. We've also been working on the facilitation of energy performance contracting. We're working on the development of local financing schemes with MELI replication, with some of the MELI PDA projects, and trying to link both sectors also. 2020, we have topics about organizing dialogue between the financial sector and the project developer side, capacity building at all levels. We have things on the benchmarking of investments and raising awareness of investors. So I'm going to get into the details. We have three key topics. So EE19 is about improving the financeability and attractiveness of sustainable energy investment. E is project development assistance. And E21 is about innovative energy services and financial schemes for sustainable energy. All of this has a call deadline for the 5th of June this year, and the same date next year if you missed it this year. Could be by the finance section. I think a lot of people could be interested. So people active in the financial sector, the industry, public authorities, either local or national, or a key target group, consumers, but also promoters, institutional investors, in general, project promoters. In regards to the building sector, I think I have a specific point on that because buildings is a key issue for investment and financing. So I think it is relevant to most of those areas. I would say it also depends on the content of the project, and it's hard to say exactly where they're eligible or not. One point also which is important is that when we talk about sustainable energy, that means we're talking about energy efficiency and renewables or renewables. So depending on the topic and depending on the content of the project, it's either only energy efficiency, only renewables, or both at the same time. And you have to think of what is most relevant to what you want to achieve, what would achieve the highest impact also for our funding. The E19 has 3 subtopics. We are to have 3 entities from 3 countries, but on the 3rd topic, the national platforms, we can project from 1 entity, meaning also 1 country. So there, I detail that by subtopic because they're quite different. The first topic is on development of frameworks for the standardization and benchmarking of investments. Projects that would help to label and standardize sustainable energy investments or investment portfolios. We could clearly see the energy or the renewable content of those investments. We're looking for projects working on valuation techniques, so the valuer to better integrate the green value of buildings. In general, we are aware that energy is not the only thing that investors look at. So we have no issues if proposals are integrated in a broader approach, as a socially responsible investment or green buildings. The proposals then to clearly focus on the energy component. So to develop aspects of a standardization or label evaluation technique, but we want to see a clear energy component in the proposal. Second sub is one where we would like to target public institutional investors. So, for example, public or semi-public pension schemes, in order to increase the share of their funds that is invested in sustainable energy, and in particular energy efficiency, not only renewables, I think, and to develop specific investment funds or investment products. And here you can see that the beer are clearly a component among others of these topics. Topic is quite different than the first 2. Is about energy financing platform. Here the idea is to set up roundtables at the national level, organize dialogue between all relevant stakeholders, meaning the finance sector, the project developers, the property owners, everybody interested in financing and sustainable energy, organize dialogue between them so that they propose improvement in the legal frameworks, they develop template documents, template contracts, and that could lead to a better understanding of the market and basically a working financial market for sustainable energy. And as I was saying, we can accept proposals from 1 entity or 1 country only. It's not a problem if you have several countries, but it's accepted to have 1 single country. There will be also knowledge sharing between countries. Have started to run. The next topic is EE20, and that's project development assistance. This is the continuation of what we had under MLEI PDA so far. The basic principle is quite simple. The project to trigger euros of investments for every euro of EU support When we mean trigger investments, that means we want to have signed work contracts or investment contracts. We don't need the works to be fully implemented because we know that usually it's not realistic. Here's really to support project promoters to mobilize all the stakeholders, to do all the inventories, to do the feasibility study, and to also all the financial engineering that they need. So that could be simply structuring the financing for an investment, but it could also be setting up a local financing scheme or private financing scheme. Issue also has to do with the legal with the procurement, especially when we're talking about public investments. I think the great is that this year this priority is now open to private project promoters. So it's for public authorities as it was before, but we're open to any private project promoters. So we give examples such as retail chains, real estate managers, but basically it could be anybody who can say, well, within a 3 years time, I'm able to trigger from 6 to 50 million euros of investment. The important message also is that you should talk about money. With 17 million euros available for EE20, and a large amount of money. About 3 times the money we used to have for MPI in the past years. So and it's a separate call. So that means there's quite a lot of money available. Be aware that it is not easy to have a project that can be because to demonstrate that they're able to trigger investments. So we need to have a certain level of credibility of the proposed investments. So as I was saying, investment between 50 million euros on average. Sectors. So here clearly buildings are targeted as the real energy market infrastructure, which is a very broad term. That could be smart grids, that could be charge points for electric vehicles, could be district heating, public lighting. It could also be distributed renewables, demand response, etc. I think one of the points that is important here to mention is that we're looking for investments with a lighthouse dimension. And so that means they have to be of buildings, for example. We want to have a level of saving that is really significant. We don't want to stick with projects at 20% savings. It all depends on the country. But clearly we are quite vigilant on this last dimension. One of the requirements is that we're looking for projects with organizational innovation, which means in how you mobilize the investments or the financing of the investments, which is a bit broad, I think. The point is also it should be demonstrated. The student should be demonstrated. It depends on the country and on the sector. But you need to make it clear why this is, either new or not so common. It does because it has been done once in a country. It is not innovation anymore. But if it has been done 150 times in your country and especially your region, then probably we would judge that this is no longer really innovation. Key here is we don't need technical innovation. Ask questions that we've come up with, which is available on our website. So I encourage you to look at that because it's a lot of very useful information in order to better understand the content of this topic. The last topic that we have is EE21, and here we have once again 3 subtopics. a rollout of business models. So basically, here we have a focus on the energy efficiency services. And contracting is clearly one of the targets. With that, we want to turn savings into service that can be monetized rather than if cash flow that is not taken into account by investors, be they property owners or bankers. One of the key issues that we have is to make sure that energy savings can be accounted for as positive cash flows. The second one is on the replication of successful innovative financing solutions and energy services. That's pretty much the continuation of the MLEI replication priority that we had last year and the year before. Here we look in particular for aspects focusing on aggregation of aggregation investments, securitization, bonding, clearing houses, or also we could have projects developing new investments mechanism, for example, crowdfunding for renewables, but also for energy efficiency, which is not common so far. The third subtopic is the large-scale capacity building for public authorities. And so here the idea is to say we're looking at new approaches to finance investments, or also new approaches to use public and private money, and in particular the public money. So that actually takes a lot of time for all others to understand how these schemes can work, how they can be implemented, and what is the best way to use them. So here the only requirement is we want projects that target a large scale. So it shouldn't be just training 50 people on energy performance contracting. It should be much broader than that, both in terms of topics and in terms of numbers. The expected impact, I think, depend very much on the content, but we're expecting savings, investments, implementation of policies, and training of people. For my side, on the last slide, you will find all the online resources, but I'm not going to go through that. I would only call your attention to the FAQs on the PDA topic, so EE20, because I think that's quite a big one. For your attention, I think I'll pass the floor now.